Hello everyone, my name is TJ Black. Hope you all had a good day. Today I'm going to be reviewing a book that I finished reading earlier this evening called Disability Intimacy, Essays on Love, Care and Desire by Alice Swan. So I'm just going to discuss the book, my overall thoughts on it, and just talk about the book and why I recommend it to people like me in the disability community. So yeah, hope you all enjoyed the video. So I first read this book back in June. After college, I took the bus to a public library up in Stone Church. Pretty sure it's called the Public Valley Park. It's like around Paramount DR. I might have got the name wrong, but yeah, I was there, and then this book caught my attention, Disability Intimacy, and this is actually the first book I ever read. I talked about, disabilities and, as a whole, because I've read, self-care books, self-help books before, talking about, like, anxiety, depression, stuff like that, but nothing like this. This is a really interesting book, because the author of this book, Alice Swan, she's a disabled person, and she talks about what she went through at a very young age. She became physically disabled when she was 19. She ended up in a wheelchair, and then she wanted to have kids. That was her goal growing up, and she wasn't able to have kids because she ended up in a wheelchair. And it's pretty sad. She talks about her struggles with depression, anxiety, not being able to have intimacy with men and people because of her disability. And a lot of the people that in this book, the other people who are disabled, I talk about their experiences too. There's a lot of different interesting stories. I remember this one that really caught my attention about this black woman who's queer, and she talked about her challenges, being a disabled black woman, and having challenges with intimacy and being judged based on race and disability culture, and a lot of really impactful stuff, good life lessons. And this other one that caught my attention. This one about this Asian man who's homosexual. He talks about his experiences growing up with a disability, and having a lot of issues coming out as a homosexual, and he talked about modeling and a lot of stuff like that, and a lot of really good stuff. There's another one I'm trying to remember. I wrote some notes down, but there's another one where this woman just talks about there's one about this one woman talks about her having ADHD and having challenges with paying attention, and a lot of relatable stuff like that, what she did to cope with those things, who she talked to, family and friends. And there was also this one about this woman who was disabled, who was blind. You talked about having a dog. That was very interesting too. And they just talk about them feeling not accepted because of their disabilities, if it would be a physical disability, people who are handicapped or blind or deaf, or invisible disabilities like what I have, which is a learning disability. A lot of people can't tell that I have a disability, and they talk about what they went through. A lot of relatable stuff that I connected to on an emotional level. I don't want to spoil everything because this book is worth a read. You guys should really check this out. Even my people I know in my life and family, friends who don't have a disability who are not on the autism spectrum, I highly recommend you check out this book, because it gives you a lot of insight on the disability community. I don't even like saying disability, because it just kind of makes it sound like we're inferior because of our challenges, but that shouldn't be the case. Just because we're if you're disabled doesn't mean that you're less of a human being. It just means that you're different. Your brain works differently, and you have a gift. You have a superpower. And a lot of the people in this book, they talk about their gifts and what they've done to inspire so many others. A lot of them went on to talk about those stories. A couple of them became activists. Ella Swan, she became a best-selling author, regardless of her disability. A couple others went on to be successful models, and even like actors. I remember this one was this one person was talking about being an actor, and there was this one woman that talked about being obese and the challenges of being judged based on her obesity, stuff like that. And yeah, it's definitely worth a read for sure. I don't want to spoil and give it all away, but it's worth a read. It's only like 332 pages. No, wait, a little bit more than that, like 338. So it's not that long of a book. It's really worth a read. I'm just gonna show you guys the page where you can see Ella Swan's face. She's an Asian woman, and I'll just read like a little bit about her. About the editor. Ella Swan is a disabled activist, media maker, and research consultant based in San Francisco, California. She is the author of a best-selling memoir, Year of the Tiger, Activist's Life, the founder and director of the Disability Visibility Project, an online community dedicated to creating, sharing, and amplifying disability media and culture, and the editor of the anthology, Disability Visibility, First-Person Stories in the 21st Century, and Disability Visibility, 17 first-person stories for today, adapted for young adults. Alice is also the host and co-producer of the Disability Visibility podcast, and co-partner in a number of collaborations, such as #CryptoVote and Access is Love. From 2013 to 2015, Alice served as a member of the National Council on Disability, an appointment by President Barack Obama. This is definitely worth a read, though. I actually listened to the audiobook, Audible, while reading the book. I would say the audiobook on Audible is a bit of a mixed bag, in my opinion. There are some parts of like chapters where I really did like because there's different like narrators for the audiobook. It's not just one person, because this is like an anthology book, because it's different people's stories and they have like different narrators narrating these stories. There's some that sound good and they actually sound like they were passionate about talking about these people's challenges. They actually sound natural. But there's other people who sounded very robotic and they sound like they were like AI, artificial intelligence, and that kind of bothered me. That kind of took me out of it at points. But overall, I would say the audiobook is like, it's not bad. It's not the best audiobook I've ever listened to. I listened to like a lot better, but I've also listened to worse. I've listened to some really like mediocre audiobooks, but I thought the audiobook was okay for what it was. I would say I will listen to it again. The audiobook I would probably give like a 6 out of 10, because there were narrators that were good, but there were also narrators that sounded robotic, sound like AI. So yeah. I'm just gonna talk about the chapters that really resonated with me, the ones that I wrote down on my phone, just the ones that really I was interested in, and the ones that I thought overall were the best chapters about the book, and just the people who talked in these stories, I feel like they had the most to offer, and they intrigued me the most personally. So I'm just gonna name off some of the chapters that really I found very interesting. The first one, just they're out of order. So yeah, the first one, Dreaming of Black Disability, Doulas. That's a really solid chapter. And then next one, First of All, I Love You. That's a really, really good one. Profoundly Together, The Red Roads. Also a very damn good one. Love Letter to London. That's the one about the dog. From what I remember, yeah, that's the one about the dog. That was a very heartfelt, touching one. That was very sweet. The next one, Rosharon, I might have mispronounced it. Rosharon, Teaches Me to Breathe on animals' disabilities. Damn, I might have mixed that up. That might be the one about the dog. My bad. But yeah, that was a very good one too. And then the next one is Hi, Are You Single? Question mark. This one was really good. I remember this one, like the person pretty much was a woman that talked about, being single and just trying to find like self-love for yourself, and just coming out of bad relationships, and also relationships that didn't work out. So that one I found very interesting, and I resonate with that a bit because I'm someone in the past who tried to make these connections with women and try to have these intimate relationships, and they didn't work out. It is what it is, but right now I'm just gonna focus on me, because relationships is they're not easy. It's hard to be consistent. I just gotta focus on me, and then someday I'll find that special someone. But I just need to focus on myself and love myself first. But yeah, anyways, enough rambling. The next chapter that I found really interesting was Crypt Glass, Gabrielle Peters. That was a very, very good one. And yeah, and the topics that really they talked about the most in this book, that were the most important, that were really impactful to me and gave me a lot more perspective and insight on the disability community, because I knew a bunch of things about disabled people before going into this, because I've had many disabled friends who have physical and mental disabilities, and I even have family members who have those things, and autism. I know many people who have autism, my friends and family. So I knew a couple things, but this book really taught me more about topics such as disability identity, and it just helped me learn more about other people's point of views, and I'm not the only one that struggled with finding identity growing up throughout my childhood. And I learned more about disability culture, the way people with disabilities, how they learn different types of skills, writing, or reading, or even cooking, modeling, dancing, a bunch of different examples, stuff like that. It shows that the people who learn differently, disabled people, and a lot of us, we just learn things differently, and we were taught differently, and that makes us unique and different. Nothing wrong with that. Just being like everybody else, ordinary, is boring, honestly. But and it shows, don't judge a book by its cover, because just because someone is, you think someone is is a strange person because they talk different than you, or they look different than you, it doesn't mean you should treat them like they're not a human being. So yeah, never judge a book by its cover. And also disabled self-love. That's a very good topic that I learned more about. Just them, disabled people loving themselves, overcoming set challenges regardless. Physical people, a lot of people with physical disabilities, you're deaf or blind, they struggle with communicating a lot. I've met someone who was blind, and they were able to communicate by visualizing. They're not visual learners because they're blind, obviously, but they're really good at communicating through auditory information, when someone's talking to them. And also from audio messages, they're really good when it comes to being auditory learners. And then people who are deaf, they're really good visual learners, but they can't hear, so that the auditory skills aren't the best. But we all have things we're not good at and things we're bad at, because I'm someone I could see. I'm not blind, and I'm not deaf. I would say my greatest thing that I'm good at, I'm a visual learner. I'm really good at visualizing and remembering numbers, math, subtraction, multiplication, and telling the time. I could visualize all of it in my brain, and even with names, I'm really good when it comes to remembering names for famous celebrities, actors, such as Leonardo DiCaprio, Samuel Jackson, Will Smith, Nicolas Cage, Keanu Reeves, Denzel Washington, Morgan Freeman. The list goes on. I'm crazy when it comes to the actors and movies and shows and stuff, and even anime. I can remember a bunch of names by heart. So when it comes to people, though, it depends how well I know the person, because there's people that I don't know that well and I forget their names. So yeah, it depends. But I am a visual learner, primarily a visual learner. And the way I learn best when someone like demonstrates to me how to do a certain task. If I'm not familiar with doing a task, like show me visually, they demonstrate it to me, and I watch them do it, and then I learn from that. Because if they just tell me something that I know nothing about, then I'm not gonna understand what they're saying. So I'm primarily the visual learner. Kinesthetic, I'm not kinesthetic at all. I can't learn things by myself without anyone giving me instructions or teaching me how to do it visually or auditory. I'm not kinesthetic, but that's okay. I rambled a lot, so I have a lot to say about that stuff. And disability empowerment, that's another really good one. Disability empowerment pretty much means just empowering others, regardless of just showing them, because they have a disability doesn't mean like they can't grow and learn, and when they're having those really bad and stressful days and they feel like they're alone, you empower them by telling them your journey, your story, what you went through, the challenges you had, the obstacles you went through. Like if you had like a really messed up childhood because of your family, one of your parents were abusive, or you were a neglected child because of disability. A lot of people go for that. You're not the only one, and you go for substance abuse, substance abuse of any, physical, mental abuse of any kind. You're not the only one who's been for that. A lot of us have been through abusive, relationships in our lives. Even if you haven't, done anything like serious, like abused yourself, we've all been through some kind of abuse. So yeah, just empowering others, that's something that I really want to do, with my voice. I want to empower people who have been in my shoes, who struggle with, low self-esteem issues, anxiety, depression, and inferiority complex. The many obstacles I have had to go through, I want to empower other people with my voice and let them know that they're not alone. I've been through the same things, and I just want to help people and give them positive affirmations to tell them it's all going to be okay. I'm here for you. And just give them some advice to help them better themselves when they can, just one step at a time. They'll take their time, because I have things I still have to work on. We all have flaws, but the thing I really want to do, my goal is to help people. And I feel like this book really makes you more informative about disabled people, and it just gives you a lot more of a perspective, very good perspective too. So yeah, I might have lost my thought what to say after that, but that's okay. Disability awareness. I kind of mentioned this earlier, but just being aware, be aware, we're all human, regardless of having disabilities. Just because I have my challenges of being autistic, and there's people I know who are on the low spectrum, low functioning. It doesn't mean that they're any less of a human being than I am, just because I'm high functioning. We all we learn things differently, we grow differently, our brains are all wired in a different way. It's very complex, but a lot of people who think disabled people are inferior to them, a lot of those people are very narcissistic. They think they're better than everybody else, and anyone that has, a disability of any kind, whether it be, physical or mental, they pretty much look down on them and think they're just, they think they're just trash. And, a lot of, for the longest time, that's how it was for, disabled people, and autistic people. And even me growing up as a kid in the 2000s, we were outcasts. We didn't really have a lot of support really back then. There wasn't any groups talking about these things. And there wasn't really a whole lot of programs. There was just special needs classes, but those classes made you feel inferior. At least me, I felt like an outcast. Because a lot of the normal classes, a lot of the students looked down on us because we were, in special needs classes. And I don't even like saying special needs, really, because I just feels like that, and even saying disabled people I don't know, it just kind of sounds weird saying those things. It just kind of feels demeaning in a way. I feel like we should just be called people who are different, different but unique, not people who have disabilities, because that just makes, a lot of times when I grew up, people saying the word disability, that just always put me down, man. It just made me not feel good about myself. So yeah, disability community as well. So yeah, pretty much building a community and talking to other people who've had similar challenges, somewhat similar, building like friendships, connections, and talking to, family about the challenges you've had to overcome with your like physical and mental disability of any kind. And just because me, I can relate with this a lot because I've made many connections with people throughout the years, friends and family, and I've talked about my issues of having disability, and autism, and I've met people who have ADHD. I've made friendships with people who have ADHD, and this year I've honestly come to the conclusion that I might have some form of ADHD because I get distracted a whole lot. I mean, when I was a kid I had this issue too, but I feel like now it's even worse. Even when I'm not focusing on my phone, when I'm trying to focus on a task like study or do homework at home, I can't do it longer than maybe just an hour or something. Like, I get distracted too easily because, my dog, my cat, but other things too. So, and just online learning isn't for me. Doing school online classes at home, it's not my thing. I prefer to do it in person because I get a lot more work done. I don't have really much distractions as much as I do at home. Even now talking, I get distracted a lot, man, even from the noise. So yeah, sorry about that. But yeah, anyways, disability community, pretty much, build a community, with people, learn from them, and just don't be someone who puts yourself above others. Treat people with kindness and respect, and be honest, and be positive too. It'll be positive, but at the same time, there's people who tend to be fake positivity, people who pretend to be kind for you, but they're really just out for themselves. Let's just be honest. There's people who are like that, who are two-faced, and they pretend that they have your best interests at heart, but at the end of the day, they're just looking out for themselves and they're just being nice to you because they think they're gonna get something out of you. All opportunistic people, manipulators, people like that. But people who are genuinely decent people will show through the actions, not just the words. Actions speak louder than words, and I know from experience. But we all make mistakes, I will admit I've made mistakes. There's times where I say stuff and I don't actually do it because a lot of times in the past it's because I was afraid, anxiety, or I just got distracted, wasn't the most consistent. Even with relationships too, I'm guilty of that too. So yeah, I'll admit it. No one's perfect, and it's a good thing because if we're all perfect, like I said in my last video, in my main channel, the world would be a very boring place. So yeah, that's how I see it. And last one I'll talk about, and I'll end the video, is disability intimacy, which it's what the book is called, but that's the most important thing about this book. Disability intimacy, finding love with someone. It doesn't have to be actual romance, but platonic love with a friend, a family member who understands you, and what you've been through, and someone who's always there to listen to you and pick yourself back up. For me, I have people like that, like my mom. She's always been like that. She's the most important person in my life. Even my brothers and my best friend, and then a couple other friends too, felt me out. So yeah, and just just love is important. We all need some love. I'm not the most romantic person. I'm someone who hates romantic comedies. I admit it. It's my least favorite genre ever. Romance is not really my cup of tea for the most part, and I'm not a poet or nothing. Poetry I do find interesting, but I'm not the most romantic guy. I could be kind of a homeless romantic at times, I'll admit it. But yeah, this book is just really, 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 really solid. A really great book. I would give this book an 8 out of 10. Yeah, 8 out of 10. I would really recommend it to anyone that wants to learn more about, if you want to learn more about disabled people from actual disabled people's point of view, because everyone that the author is disabled, all the people that talked about their own separate stories, they're disabled, so if you want to actually read a book from people who are in the disabled community, I highly recommend this book, because there's books out there where people talk about disabilities and autism and they're not actually autistic or disabled. So this book is way more real and authentic, because it's people who actually been through those challenges and they're talking about their experiences, and you could learn something from that, because I learned a lot of things from this book actually. And it's been I took my time with this book. It took me a while to finish it, but I'm glad I took my time. So yeah, I really recommend this book. I hope you guys liked my review. I was all over the place for the most part, but I just wanted to really show my passion and just like, you know, the things I care about, and just when I'm moving forward, when I do these book reviews, I'm gonna do my best to just, you know, be myself and be passionate and show that I care. Just bring some energy, and so, you know, the people who watch these videos and get something out of it, or be my family, friends, or you know, strangers on the internet who haven't met me before and they just want to learn more about, disabled people, or just watch, reviews of books, or happen to randomly, see my video. I hope you get something out of these videos. I'm going to be talking about the things I'm passionate about. So yeah, I think that's all I have to say for now. I talked a lot about this book, but I hope you guys got something positive out of this book. So yeah, I hope you guys have a really good night. This is TJ Blaque signing off. Talk to you guys later. Good night, everyone.